You chose this. You chose to be the nice guy. You chose the flowers, the late-night listening sessions, and the unwavering transparency. And how did that virtue taste when she looked right through you to find someone who didn't even know her middle name? Stop lying to yourself. You weren't being good. You were being weak. Morality is a luxury for those who can afford to lose. You, however, are currently bankrupt. You believe that if you give enough of yourself, you'll eventually become indispensable. That's like a gambler thinking if he stays at the table long enough, the house will give him the keys. The house doesn't love you. The house wants you to stay exactly where you are. Predictable, available, and losing. In the inner circle, we don't play for likes. We play for leverage. You've been following a script written by people who want you compliant, not powerful. Today, we burn that script. I'm giving you 5 Machiavellian hacks to reclaim the board. We're going to stop treating attraction like a romance and start treating it like an occupation. Most of you won't make it past Law 3. It'll feel mean. It'll feel cold. That's just your chains rattling. But for the few who stay for Law 5, the phantom exit, you will realize that the only way to truly control the game is to be the only person who does not mind if the table flips. Shall we begin? Or do you have more virtuous losing to do? 1. The scarcity of the self. The always available fallacy. Nature abhors a vacuum, but human desire abhors a surplus. Baltasar Gracian, the man who taught kings how to breathe without being stabbed, once noted that the wise man knows that the more he is seen, the less he is admired. It's the most basic equation in the Predator's Handbook. Supply and demand. Yet here you are, flooding the market with your presence like a devalued currency in a hyperinflated economy, and you have the audacity to wonder why your stock is crashing. You believe that being supportive means being a 24-hour concierge. You've been fed a diet of cinematic lies that tell you the man who shows up wins the girl. So, you reply to texts in 3 seconds flat. You clear your Saturday night the moment she breathes a hint of a whim. You think you're proving your worth. In reality, you're just proving you have nothing better to do. You've made yourself a utility, like tap water or a sidewalk. Nobody writes poetry about tap water. They just use it to wash the dishes and complain when the pressure's low. Let's be brutally honest. Your availability is actually just a lack of ambition disguised as devotion. You're like a dog sitting by the door, wagging its tail, waiting for the master to return. It's sweet, sure, but it's not compelling. A dog is a pet. A predator is an event. Think about the diamond. It's just a piece of compressed coal with an ego. Chemically, it's boring. Its only value, its entire majesty, lies in the fact that it is difficult to find and harder to own. If diamonds fell from the sky like rain, we'd use them for gravel. By being always there, you aren't being a good partner. You are removing the possibility of being a prize. You are the always open sign on a 24-hour diner. It's convenient for a 3 a.m. snack when there are no other options, but nobody feels a sense of achievement when they walk through the door. To control the dynamic, you must introduce the shadow of your absence. You must shift from the supportive partner to the strategic prize. This isn't about playing hard to get. That's a frantic game for teenagers who still care about their reputation. This is about being actually hard to get because you are the architect of your own empire. When you stop being the one who always initiates, when you stop being the safety net that is always under her feet, she finally has to look down. And that is when she realizes how high the fall is without you. People don't value what they have. They value what they are terrified to lose. Your kindness is a debt she'll never pay back. In fact, she'll resent you for the interest. Your absence, however, is a bill that comes due immediately. And a decibel that triggers the most powerful drug in the human brain. The fear of abandonment. Being virtuous and reliable is just a polite way of saying you're predictable. And in the world of dark psychology, predictability is the sound of a closing door. Strategy requires you to be a question mark, not a full stop. If she knows exactly what you're doing on a Tuesday night, you don't own her attention. You're just a line item on her calendar. Make her wonder where you are, who you're with, and why the always open sign just went dark. You've been told that honesty is the best policy. That's a lie told by people who want to rob you. In a negotiation, the person who reveals their hand first loses. In a relationship, the person who reveals their schedule first becomes an employee. If she asks what you'll be doing this weekend and your answer is whatever you want, you've just handed her the leash and asked her to take you for a walk. A true Machiavellian knows that intimacy is a game of shadows. If you turn on all the lights, there's nothing left to explore. By remaining available, you are illuminating every corner of your soul, and frankly, it's not as interesting as you think it is. The mystery is the magnet. The scarcity is the value. Ask yourself, are you the king holding court, or are you the court jester waiting for a nod? The king is rarely seen, and his words are few. When he speaks, the room stops. When he lives, the room feels empty. The jester is always there, always performing, always seeking a laugh or a smile, and he is always, inevitably, ignored. You think you're being gallant by being her rock, but stones are heavy, and eventually, people get tired of carrying them. If you want to be the one she craves, you have to be the one she can't quite catch. You have to be the horizon, always visible, always beautiful, but always just out of reach. Why are you so afraid of a little silence? Is it because you're worried that if you aren't there to remind her you exist, she'll realize she doesn't actually need you? If that's the case, you never had her anyway. You just had a temporary lease on her boredom, and the lease just expired. Now, stop checking your phone. The more you look at it, the more it looks like a cage. Put it down. Go build something. Let her wonder if you've forgotten her name. Only then will she spend her entire night making sure you haven't. 2. The Narcissistic Mirror. Weaponized Empathy. Arthur Schopenhauer, the patron saint of pessimism, once remarked that every man takes the limits of his own field of vision for the limits of the world. We are all, at our core, trapped in the solitary confinement of our own egos. We don't fall in love with people. We fall in love with how people make us feel about ourselves. To control a woman, or anyone, for that matter, you must stop trying to be understood and start becoming a reflection. You've been told that empathy is a soft virtue, that it's about feeling what she feels so you can be a better man. What a charmingly naive sentiment. In the architect's hands, empathy isn't a bridge, it's a hook. We call this the narcissistic mirror. It is the art of reflecting her own psychological landscape back at her so perfectly that she mistakes your presence for her own soul. Your current mistake. You try to impress her with your stories, your achievements, your personality. You're shouting into a canyon and wondering why the echo doesn't change. You want her to see you. That's your ego talking, and it's making you a servant, a predator note that the most fascinating person in the world to her is herself. When you meet her, you aren't just repeating words like a parrot. You are harvesting the metadata of her insecurities and desires. You're looking for the God-shaped hole, that specific, aching void left by a distant father, a betraying ex, or a deep-seated fear of being ordinary. Once you find it, you don't fill it. You simply reflect the version of her that could fill it. Most people are virtuous because they are too terrified to be seen as manipulative. They call it being authentic. Authenticity is for people who have already won. For everyone else, it's just a lack of strategy. You've been authentic, and where did it get you? It got you labeled as predictable. It got you pushed into the friend category because you were too honest to be interesting. The narcissistic mirror requires you to be a void, a blank canvas. When she speaks of her dreams, you don't offer yours in competition. You become the silent witness that validates her grandiosity. When she shows a flaw, you don't judge it. You subtly imply that it is the very thing that makes her different from the common women you usually encounter. You are building a cage made of her own image. This is weaponized empathy. It's the psychological equivalent of a man-in-the-middle attack in cybersecurity. You intercept her emotional signals, recode them to favor your narrative, and send them back. She begins to think, he's the only one who truly gets me. What she actually means is, he's the only one who reflects the version of me I want to see. Think of the house versus the gambler dynamic again. The house doesn't care about the gambler's story. The house just provides the lights, the sounds, and the atmosphere that makes the gambler feel like a high roller. The gambler stays because of how the room makes him feel. You are the room. You are the atmosphere. Let's talk about the cost. To do this, you have to kill your own need for validation. You have to be okay with the fact that she doesn't actually see you. She sees a curated projection. This is where the weak-minded fall. They get lonely. They want to be known. If you want to be known, go join a support group. If you want to be in control, get comfortable with the silence of the mask. The irony is delicious, isn't it? By giving her exactly what her ego craves, total, reflected attention, you gain total access to her psyche. You become the sun around which her ego orbits, and the beauty of a mirror is that if you move, the reflection disappears. This creates a terrifying, subconscious dependency. She will do anything to keep the mirror in front of her, because without it, she has to face the void alone. You've been nice because you were too weak to be anything else. You thought understanding her was a gift you were giving. No. Understanding is intelligence gathering. Every secret she tells you is a brick in the wall of her own prison. Every vulnerability she shares is a vulnerability in her armor. When you use the narcissistic mirror, you aren't lying. You're simply selecting which parts of reality to emphasize. If she's a rebel, you reflect her fire. If she's a victim, you reflect her undiscovered strength. You are a chameleon in a suit, and she is a moth drawn to the light of her own reflection. Is this moral? Who cares? Morality is a fence built by the sheep to keep the wolves out, but the fence only works if the wolf believes in the fence. Ask yourself, would you rather be the moral man who sleeps alone, wondering why he is ignored, or the cold man who has the keys to her internal kingdom? You can't have both. To rule, you must be willing to disappear. You must be willing to let her believe that she is the protagonist of this story, while you are merely the author writing the lines. The most dangerous thing you can give a narcissist is a mirror that doesn't crack. Become that mirror, and you become the only thing in her world that matters. But remember, a mirror has no heart. If you start to feel, the glass breaks, and broken glass, it cuts both ways. Wait, is he talking about me? That's the thought half of you are having right now. You're wondering if you're the prey in someone else's mirror. If that thought makes you uncomfortable, you're exactly where you need to be. You are realizing that the world is not made of good and bad people. It's made of those who see the strings and those who dance. If you're tired of dancing, maybe it's time to join the architects. Subscribe to the Shadow Mind Lab. We don't do self-help, we do self-mastery. Join the inner circle before the next law reveals just how much of your virtue is actually just fear. Now, back to the shadows. 3. The information embargo. The death of the open book. They say the truth will set you free, but in the theater of power, the truth just sets your price. You've been raised on the poisonous myth of total honesty. You believe that intimacy is a process of pouring your internal world into hers until there are no secrets left. You think being an open book makes you trustworthy. In reality, it just makes you boring, and worse, it makes you manageable. Information is the only true currency of the human psyche. When you give it away for free, you aren't being vulnerable. You're devaluing your own assets. We call this the information embargo. It is the strategic withholding of your internal landscape to ensure that you remain a territory she has yet to conquer. Your current failure is a lack of information security. You treat your past, your fears, and your ambitions like public data. When she asks about your ex, you tell her the whole pathetic story. When she asks about your dreams, you lay out the entire roadmap. You think this creates a bond. It doesn't. It creates a ceiling. Once she knows everything about you, she has finished the game. There is no more level to unlock. You've become a solved puzzle, and nobody plays with a puzzle they've already put together. Machiavelli understood that the prince must be a great pretender and dissembler. He knew that to be seen entirely is to be defeated. Every detail you reveal is a handle she can use to pull you in a direction of her choosing. If she knows your greatest fear is being alone, she can weaponize silence. If she knows your greatest pride is your career, she can target your professional insecurities. Think of your personality like a high-end restaurant. If the menu is 50 pages long and includes everything from sushi to pizza, it's a tourist trap. It's cheap. But if the menu is a single, handwritten card with 3 items and no prices, that is prestige. That is an information embargo. You have been virtuous with your honesty because you're too cowardly to handle the tension of a secret. You can't stand the thought of her not knowing the real you. But let me let you in on a secret. There is no real you. There is only the version of you that is currently winning or losing. By practicing the embargo, you force her to fill in the blanks with her own imagination, and her imagination is far more talented at making you a hero than your reality will ever be. In a relationship, the person with the most secrets holds the most power. This isn't about lying. Lying is sloppy. Lying requires a memory. The embargo requires only a filter. It's about the need-to-know basis. Does she need to know about the time you failed? No. Does she need to know exactly how much you care about her? Absolutely not. If you tell a woman you love her every hour, those words become white noise. They are like the humming of a refrigerator, constant, irritating, and eventually ignored. But if you hold those words back, if you place them behind a high-security vault of silence, their value skyrockets. When you finally release a piece of information, it should feel like a state secret being leaked. It should have gravity. Most men are open books because they are desperate for someone to read them. They want to be validated. They want to be seen. This is the hallmark of the prey. The predator doesn't care if he is seen. He cares if he is effective. By maintaining the information embargo, you create a curiosity gap. This is the same psychological trick used by clickbait and cult leaders. The human brain cannot stand an unfinished story. As long as there are parts of you she doesn't understand, parts that seem cold, parts that seem distant, parts that seem contradictory, she will stay engaged. She will try to solve you. You've been playing the nice guy because it's easy. It's low effort. Being an open book requires zero discipline, but being a closed volume requires a strategic mind. It requires you to sit with your own secrets without the need to offload them onto someone else for comfort. Trusting someone with your whole self is like giving a rival a grenade and hoping they do not pull the pin because you have been kind to them. It's a gamble with 0% odds. The only way to ensure the pin stays in is to make sure they never even know you have a grenade. Ask yourself, is your honesty a bridge to connection, or is it just a white flag of surrender? Are you telling her your secrets because she earned them, or because you're too weak to carry them alone? In the world of Machiavelli, the only person who can't be manipulated is the person who can't be mapped. If she doesn't know where your borders are, she doesn't know where to attack. Become a ghost in your own story. Be the person she knows the most about, yet understands the least. The moment she thinks she has finally figured you out is the moment you've lost the board. Stop talking. Start observing. Let the silence do the work that your desperate words never could. Because in a room full of people screaming for attention, the loudest person is always the one who says nothing at all. 4. The pivot of indifference. The power of the walk-away. The greatest power in any relationship belongs to the person who needs it the least. It's a brutal, cold truth that makes virtuous people shudder in their beds. We call it the pivot of indifference. Most of you treat a relationship like a life raft. You cling to it because you're terrified of the water. But the architect treats a relationship like a luxury watch. It's nice to have. It's functional. But if it breaks, he has 5 others in the drawer and he still knows what time it is. Machiavelli famously asked whether it is better to be loved or feared. His answer was both. But if you must choose fear. Why? Because love is a bond of obligation, which men and women break whenever it serves their advantage. But fear is preserved by a dread of punishment that never fails. In modern dating, that punishment isn't violence. It is the total, icy withdrawal of your presence. It is the walk away. Your current mistake is that you've made staying your only setting. You believe that working through it is a sign of strength. It's not. Usually, it's just a sign that you have no other options. When you show a woman that you are willing to tolerate disrespect, boredom, or manipulation just to keep her in the room, you aren't being committed. You're being a hostage, and nobody feels romantic about a hostage. The pivot of indifference is the moment you stop being the gambler and start being the house. The gambler is desperate. He needs the next card to be the right one. The house doesn't care if you win or lose this hand, because the house knows that over a long enough timeline, the rules ensure they win anyway. Caring too much is like wearing a suit made of raw meat in a lion's den. It's very brave, right up until the point you're eaten. You think your passion is your strength. It's actually your tracking device. It tells her exactly where you are and how to hurt you. Indifference, however, is a stealth cloak. When she can't track your emotions, she can't control your movements. You've been nice because you were too weak to face the cold. You thought loyalty meant staying even when the terms of the deal changed for the worse. That's not loyalty, that's bad business. If a store doubles its prices and halves its quality, do you stay out of loyalty? No. You walk across the street. But in your romantic life, you stay and beg for the old prices. The walkaway is the ultimate strategic move because it is the only one that cannot be countered. You cannot argue with a man who isn't there. You cannot manipulate a man who doesn't want anything from you. The moment you are truly prepared to lose her is the exact moment you become the most powerful person in her life. This is the pivot. It's not about being angry. Anger is just caring with a louder voice. Anger shows she still has a hook in you. True indifference is quiet. It's a polite no, followed by a permanent silence. It asks the realization that your time is a limited resource, and she is no longer a high-yield investment. Most men can't do this. They have sunk cost syndrome. They've spent 6 months, a year, 5 years investing in her, and they're terrified that if they walk, they will lose it all. But a Machiavellian knows that the investment is already gone. The only thing you can save now is the rest of your life. By practicing the pivot, you'll trigger a scarcity shock in Scarcity. Suddenly, the always available utility is gone. The narcissistic mirror has been covered. The information has been embargoed. She is left in a vacuum. And as we established in Law 1, nature abhors a vacuum. She will scramble to fill it. She will text. She will call. She will check in. And this is where you must be the architect. Most of you will fold. You'll see that text and feel a rush of validation. You'll reply instantly. And within 5 minutes, you'll be back in the cage, wagging your tail. Don't be a cliché. If you return too soon, you've just taught her that your boundaries are just a temporary sale. You've taught her that your walkaway is just a stroll. To make the pivot stick, you have to be willing to actually never see her again. You have to realize that there are 4 billion women on this planet, and the idea that she is the only one is a statistical hallucination designed to keep you compliant. Virtue is the excuse men use when they don't have the stomach for the cold. You tell yourself you are giving her another chance because you are a good person. No. You're giving her another chance because you're afraid of the silence in your apartment. Indifference is the only armor that never rusts. If you want her to respect you, you must be a man who has the exit sign clearly lit in his mind at all times. She must know, at a subconscious level, that if she crosses the line, you won't argue, you won't cry, and you won't talk it out. You will simply cease to exist in her world. That is the pivot. That is the dominance. It has the power of being the one who can turn out the lights and leave the room while everyone else is still trying to figure out where the party went. Ask yourself, are you the anchor keeping her safe, or are you the storm she's trying to survive? Anchors are forgotten as soon as the sea is calm, but storms are respected forever. Are you ready for Law 5? Or are you already reaching for your phone to check if she noticed you're gone? If you are, put it down. You aren't ready to lead. You're still looking for someone to follow. 5. The Redacted Law. The Phantom Exit. We've reached the end of the line. The previous 4 laws were about management, how to tilt the board in your favor, but Law 5. Law 5 is about burning the board and walking out of the building while the smoke is still rising. We call it the Phantom Exit. It is the move so absolute, so redacted from common dating advice, that most men find it physically painful to execute. You've been taught that closure is a human right. You think that when a relationship ends, or when you decide to exert final control, there needs to be a summit meeting, a final talk, a tearful exchange of reasons. You want her to understand why you're leaving. What a pathetic, virtuous waste of time. Seeking closure is just a polite way of asking for permission to move on. It's the final act of a servant asking the master for a reference letter. The Phantom Exit denies her that luxury. It is the total, unannounced, and permanent deletion of your presence from her reality. No explanation. No, we need to talk. No final text. Just a ghost where a man used to be. Arthur Schopenhauer noted that the world is my representation. If you remove the representation, the world ceases to exist. When you execute a phantom exit, You aren't just leaving a room. You are deleting a version of reality where she has any power over you. You are becoming a phantom. A memory that she cannot argue with, cannot negotiate with, and most importantly, cannot resolve. Your current mistake is believing that your reasons have value. You think if you tell her she was too manipulative or too distant, she'll learn something. She won't. She'll just use your reasons to build a defense for her own ego. She will turn you into the villain of her story, so she can be the survivor. But the phantom exit denies her a villain. It leaves her with a question mark that will haunt her for a decade. Silence is the ultimate psychological mirror. Without your feedback, she's forced to sit in the vacuum of her own actions. She has to wonder, was I that bad? Did he ever care? What did I miss? Giving a woman an explanation is like giving a burglar a map of your new house. It's very helpful for them, and potentially fatal for you. Why would you give her the blueprints to your emotional boundaries? Why let her know where the exit is? By leaving without a word, you maintain the information embargo law 3 until the day you die. You become a legacy, a what if, a legend. Most of you are nice because you are addicted to being the good guy. You want her to think well of you, even as you leave. That's not virtue. That's vanity. You're more concerned with your reputation in her head than your power in your own life. The architect doesn't care about his reputation in the mind of someone he no longer uses. The phantom exit is the ultimate application of Machiavelli's better to be feared than loved. Because when you disappear without a word, you aren't just a man who left. You are a man who could be anywhere. You are the shadow in the corner of her eye. You are the reason she checks her phone 3 years from now at 2 a.m. You have achieved total psychological dominance because you have refused to be settled. This is how a strategy becomes a legacy. People move on from exes. They never move on from phantoms. By refusing to provide a finale, you ensure the play never ends in her mind. You occupy a permanent, rent-free suite in her subconscious. But here is the sting. To do this, you have to be truly strong. You have to be okay with her thinking you're a coward. You have to be okay with her friends calling you a ghost. You have to be okay with the fact that you will never get to hear her final side of the story. If you still need to hear her side, you aren't a predator. You're just a fan. You've spent your life being good and getting nothing but the scraps. I've given you the keys to the kingdom. Scarcity. Mirroring. Embargoes. Indifference. And finally, the exit. The question isn't whether these hacks work. They've worked since the first caveman realized he could trade a secret for a meal. The question is, are you strong enough to be the monster she needs you to be? Or are you going to go back to being the nice guy who finishes last? Choose wisely, because the shadows don't offer second chances. You can go back now. You can open your phone, send that "Hey, I was thinking about you" text, and return to the comfort of your cage. The bars are familiar, the bread is stale, but it's there. Or you can stay. You can join the Shadow Mind Lab and learn how to actually move the pieces. We aren't here to make you a better man. We're here to make you a sovereign. Subscribe. Enter the inner circle, or don't. The house wins either way.